The charter begins with the signing of the official charter agreement. The ship is informed with a message that contains the basic terms of the charter party. As mentioned previously, the office should communicate to the master, the charter party, highlighting the sensitive sections, clauses, terms. The fixture message is followed by voyage instructions. For this moment forth, the correspondence must follow the proper commercial channel. Throughout the fixture, all messages related to the voyage must reach charterers through the brokers. Likewise, instructions from charterers reaching the ship via broker. Owner. The voyage kicks off with the fixture message. Many of the references therein will prove handy in the course of the voyage. The voyage kicks off with the fixture message. Many of the references therein will prove handy in the course of the voyage. The charterers will be definitely mentioned with their commercial name as well as the brokers. The C/P date follows, which indicates the date that the ship was fully fixed. From the moment that the vessel is fully fixed, charterers must be kept posted with itinerary and the estimated time of arrival, ETA, at loading port. The voyage-related messages have this date as reference in the subject line, playing the role of a somewhat unique identification. For example, subject line may read like, Oil Tanker/Shell, CP December 5th, 2025, 2. Lay/can, the loading operation window. Lay days indicate the length of window and determine the earliest date the ship to arrive at loading port. Can goes for canceling dates, meaning that if vessel arrive late after lay days, period, charterer has the right to cancel the charter party. For example, 27 to 29/3 means that there will be no delay penalty or even canceling of charter as long as ship arrives within 0001 hours on 27th to 1600 hours on 29th. 1600 hours is a common limit referring mostly by default. Nonetheless, it could be any time of the last day. Usually canceling dates begin at 001 of the first date and expire at 1600 of the last date. Otherwise, the expiring time is printed in the fixture message. Occasionally, the lay day may expire at noon or commences at noon, namely 1200, instead of 0001. Just pay attention on timing. 3. Charter party speed. It is the agreed speed at laden passage, always, weather and safe navigation permitting, WSNP. Occasionally, this is on the fixture message like 12 knots WSNP. The C/P speed can only changed in the course of the voyage only if both parties agree. If, for instance, on the course of the voyage, charterers require either speed up or slow down, relevant speed clause should exist. If not, can be inserted later. In any case, master should not act upon speed up or slow down until same is confirmed and verified by both parties. 4. Cargo. The cargo in this initial message could appear under a general description like NHC, which goes for non-heated crude oil, or CPP, meaning clean petroleum product, or DPP, meaning dirty petroleum product. Later with the voyage orders, the cargo is defined. For example, Arabian Light, crude oil or unleaded gasoline or fuel oil. Next to the description is the reference to the amount of cargo. Remember, the freight is calculated upon the amount of cargo. So when, for example, is mentioned NHCMIN 100,000, that means that the vessel will get paid definitely for 100,000 tons. If by charterer's reason the vessel loads less than minimum, the freight will be paid in full basis the 100,000 tons. But if vessel loads less than minimum due to master's fault, then the charterer gets the right to claim compensation. Therefore, always verify that C/P minimum is within the range and amount is in line with ship's properties. The C/P minimum has nothing to do with the amount of cargo as mentioned in the voyage instructions. Either more or less, master has to load the amount as mentioned in the voyage orders. Further below, we'll see how the master can handle any cargo quantity option. Likewise, it could be agreed full cargo, meaning that vessel has to load up to capacity, irrespective the weight. 5. Heating. For some cargoes, especially crudes and DPP, the heating is vital. Heating usually is agreed beforehand and relevant reference will be in the fixture message. 6. Load. 1/2 ports. It means charterers have the right to load at 2 different locations. Attention, 2 ports doesn't mean 2 berths within same port. In most of the fixes, the loading range is mentioned. Therefore, is very common the 1/2 ports to be followed by the geographical area. For example, 1/2 ports, AG, and geographical rotation north to south. In this case, the vessel should first load at the most northern port and then fill up to the southern port. Very often, the georotation is overlooked in voyage orders. Master must be aware and verify the georotation of the fixture message is the same as in the voyage orders. If not, the master should immediately request owners and charterers to clear this out. 7. The same applies for the discharging ports. In general, the pitfall mainly be in geographical rotation, which is something that very easily can be overlooked, and it has in several occasions. 8. Agents. Usually the agent gets into the game upon receipt of voyage instructions. Nevertheless, whenever the agent is mentioned here, it could mean for the master that he may commence the preliminary communication with the agent in respect with port procedures. We'll refer extensively to the function of the agent and how he's been appointed further below. In this part, the preliminary set of information is complete, and the operator gives some form of communication scheme. This will be altered upon receipt of the voyage orders. In any case, brokers/charters and owners should be copied. The vessel must definitely arrive within the lay days, either the original set lay days or any extension agreed thereof. In case the vessel arrives earlier than the commencement of the lay days, master transmits notice of arrival, indicating the intended NOR time as per charter party. Notice of readiness, or NOR, is tendered upon commencement of lay days or upon arrival within lay days. Whichever comes first. Free pratique is an important condition for the NOR to be accepted as valid. Notice of arrival is normally tendered only at loading port. It signals the arrival of the vessel in case she arrives prior to the commencement of lay days. In this slide, you are viewing a draft wording of a notice of arrival. In the notice of arrival, the intended NOR time should be mentioned for all parties to see and verify the NOR. Note that not all parties are fully conversant with the terms and conditions of the charter party. Therefore, it would be helpful in many ways to put forward important information. The notice of readiness plays an important role to the lay time and demurrage calculation. From the charterer perspective, it is a document that owner certifies that the ship is in all respects ready to perform her mission. As per BP Voy 5, owners shall provide charterers with a NOR certificate signed by the master and a terminal representative in respect of each port at which the vessel loads or discharges. We must take into consideration the fact that parties other than the ship and terminal are not able to get a clear picture of the port operations. Therefore, all related documents like protests, statements, time logs, and especially the NOR should contribute to the absolute reconstruction of the ship staying at port. Time is money, and occasionally in significant amounts. Demurrage costs may range between $20,000 and $30,000 per day. In this slide, we refer to the wording of Notice of Readiness clause as it appears in the Aspatank Voy Charter Party form. Upon commencement of lay days or upon arrival within the lay days, the master tenders the Notice of Readiness. The Notice of Readiness, or NOR, bears the following properties. 1. It is the start point of counting the port time, lay time. It is customary, though, the count to actually start 6 hours after NOR tendered, unless vessel berths before 6 hours expire. Then counting starts with all fast. The 6 hours break is awarded to charterers for berthing and cargo arrangements too. Engages the shipper. Shipper is obliged to carry out his part without unreasonable delays. Notice of readiness should be tendered initially by any available communication mean, telex, fax, email, phone, either directly or via the port agent. It is imperative receipt confirmation to be obtained. After berthing, the NOR should be presented in hard copy. Thereafter be confirmed in writing using the appropriate form at the earliest opportunity after berthing. The hard copy NOR should bear exactly the same tendering time as the cable NOR. The Notice of Readiness. Validity. The lay time starts to count only after a valid NOR has been tendered. In order NOR to be valid, 3 conditions must be satisfied. 1. The vessel must have arrived at the destination. 2. The vessel must be seaworthy, namely to carry valid certificates. 3. The vessel must be ready for cargo operations by all means. The destination is reached when ship arrives at the commercial border of the port, or the customary anchorage, or the designated waiting area. The relevant coordinates should have been verified, if not publicly posted by port authorities through the port agent. In case of limited information or uncertainty about the port limits or the customary anchorage, the master has to confirm with the agent in writing. It's worthwhile such messages to be copied to brokers and charterers. The ship readiness is achieved when 1. Propulsion, machinery, and equipment are in good working order. 2. Suitability of cargo tanks for intended cargo is secured. 3. Certificates and documents are valid. In the event that some or all of above not fulfilled, then NOR tendering should be normally postponed unless otherwise instructed by owners. The validity of NOR depends upon the previous elements, plus that must have tendered within the agreed lay/can. If ship arrives after lay/can, master to seek. NOR tendering instructions from owner's operations department. Rejection of NOR means that the lay time will start count upon either with all fast or commencement of cargo operations. Laycan goes for the abbreviation to lay days and canceling. There is a laycan clause in the charter party which more or less gives the right to the charterer to cancel the freight without any further impact to him. Likewise may be imposed instead and/or additional financial penalties to the owner. Commonly lay days commence at 0:0:01 of the designated lay date and expire at 1600 or 23:59 of the designated canceling date. However, under Shellvoy CP, and if so agreed, lay days may commence at noon, 1200. NOR should imperatively tender within the lay/can window. The general rule with laycan is when late arrival becomes likely, master should alert the operations, who in turn should notify charterers asking for extension. Also note that charterers hate to be left out of the developments. Let's explore now some cases of arrival conditions at port and the corresponding actions related to NOR-A. Vessel arrives earlier than the commencement of lay days. In such an event, provided that early loading is agreed in charter party and invoked accordingly, meaning charterer allow early loading, then normal NOR tendering procedure is followed. It's worthwhile to mention here about the early loading clause, the fact that depending the governing charter party, this clause might be in favor to the owner or the opposite. Subsequently, the operator must be aware of the details of this clause and direct ship accordingly. Generally, if earlier berthing not invoked, then master tenders notice of arrival. In this notice, always include the intended NOR time. When vessel arrives on time and she gets instructions to proceed directly for berthing, the vessel tenders NOR on arrival. Time starts to count from the expiration of 6 hours or with all fast, whichever comes first. When vessel arrives on time and she gets instructions to proceed to anchorage, vessel tenders NOR upon entering the anchorage area. Anchoring time to follow closely enough, not more than 30 minutes. When vessel arrives on time and she gets instructions to proceed for drifting, vessel tenders NOR upon reaching port limit or upon arrival at the designated waiting area. Vessel arrives at lightering area in order to perform STS. Vessel tenders NOR on EOSP. Vessel arrives at US port with COC expired. Vessel tenders NOR upon successful completion of TVE. Vessel arrives at river estuary, bay entrance to further steam to reach her destination. Vessel tenders NOR upon reaching pilot station, and then upon all fast retenders without prejudice to the original. Vessel is fixed to load at same port, different berths. NOR tendering time will be the hose disconnection time. Vessel is fixed to load at same port, same berth without disconnecting hoses. NOR tendering time will be the tank's inspection completion. Special conditions apply for NOR in relation with free pratique. Relevant provisions contained in BPVOY and Shell VOY setting. NOR invalid in lack of FP. With reference to free pratique, master is recommended to act as follows: 24 hours before arrival to send to the agent for forwarding to authorities the Maritime Declaration of Health and the valid sanitary certificate, requesting free pratique to be granted upon arrival. If free pratique is not granted as requested, then master immediately sends protest by TLX or fax or email. Receipt confirmation is necessary. Master submits the free pratique protest in hard copy. Theoretically, no physical contact should be made between the crew and locals unless the free pratique is in full power, ensuring hygiene conditions and health of all persons involved. Nevertheless, free pratique requests should be imperatively requested at all ports. The fact that in some countries or ports the free pratique is granted before even ship arrive at port shows that this is a typical as well as critical process. When the NOR should be repeated and when should be retendered. As a general rule, NOR is repeated in view of a long wait and serves as a reconfirmation for the sake of good order and leaving no room for doubt about the ship readiness. Also, in the event that the recipients has challenged NOR time in the past. There were several occasions where emails were being deleted or overseen and so on. NOR repetition is a practice which may overcome such lapses. Keep simple the relevant wording. This condition are also applicable to discharge ports. It is not uncommon to retender nor at any given circumstance, for example. 1. After tendering nor as per C/P on arrival, owner's request to retender upon hose or arms connection. 2. Vessel is waiting more than the 6 hours, then owner's request master to retender nor every 6 hours. Certainly such practices serve a purpose, however it should be also taken into account the fact that this situation may create also confusion and debate about the actual NOR time. Generally speaking, when NOR is retendered cancels the previous. Even the phrase, with no prejudice, is not strong enough to maintain the validity of the original. Vessel calls at a Mississippi River port for either loading or discharge. NOR to be tendered upon arrival at SW Pass, not with EOSP. Upon ship's berthing, NOR will be retendered with the notation without prejudice to the original tendered on at hours LT. If vessel goes to anchor, either fairway or river, each time vessel will be dropping anchor, she will be also tendering NOR with the same notation as above. The original time of reference will be always the arrival at SW Pass Pilot Station. L. West African ports, except SBM platforms. NOR, which tendered by means of cable, telex, fax, email. To be addressed to port authorities and / or the harbor master as well for securing priority for berthing. M. West African ports, SBM platforms. Due to communication problems involved and where NOR is to be given verbally, VHF, relevant entry should be made in bridge log, communications log, and statement of facts. In the event that cable don't go through master may tender NOR through telephone. In such case, it should be registered into the radio log/GMDSS log, the communication data along with the identity of the party that contacted. Voyage orders contain the recipient's details of NOR. Recipients should acknowledge receipt of NOR and do it stating name and position. The recipient of NOR should be a responsible clerk authorized to sign commercial documents. Acknowledge receipt is not acceptance. If acceptance is not mentioned in the charter party either as condition, term, or clause, then master/owners bear no obligation against it. Moreover, it is recommended not to record acceptance time in the statement of facts, time log, or any other document. The installation representative normally signs the NOR as received as per charter party. It also happens NOR to be signed for receipt only, which has become lately very common. However, this is completely unreasonable since vessel may be either ready or not ready. The NOR simply confirms ship's condition, throwing the ball to the party who has to take specific actions. Therefore, responding to the ship, "Okay, got you," it absolutely void and unnecessary. It is also worthwhile to note that in case of and dispute, claims are going under review or trial months later than the actual events. It would be good for the arbitrators to have the necessary documents which reconstruct in full the operation in question. Everything else would be distraction. Moreover, a receipt time other than NOR time might be entered. In this case, the master have to either protest as to the time NOR received. Repeat that the right mark on NOR is received as per CP. If the NOR recipients raise doubts and challenge the formal notice of readiness, stating for instance all fast time to be recorded in NOR, then the master accepts with the following comment, without prejudice to the original NOR tendered on /at/hours local time. Occasionally, charterers request NOR to be tendered and / or retendered to shippers /receivers /terminals at different locations and time. Such NOR should not be confused with the NOR being tendered on arrival, as aforementioned. As a distinction, master may insert, instead of the common phrase, in accordance to the terms and conditions of the governing C/P dated, the phrase, in accordance to charterer's instructions. This is the end of the video, but more to come. Fellow sailors, the chapter is to be continued with references about statement of facts and the charter party clauses with special interest from the operational point of view. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Let's do this stronger.